Good morning, Year 7. I hope you're all safe. My name is Mr. Tuton and I'm going to be your history teacher at Trinity this year. It is frustrating that we can't be together in person, but we must make the best of our situation and work with what we have got for now. So today we begin our first lesson of our history topic on medieval England, and the unit is called Invasion and Settlement. Some of you may have been given this booklet already, and today we are going to go over the first lesson on what life was like in Celtic Britain. For those of you in 7.3 and 7.4, we are going to re-go over this material as we never finished it in our first lesson. However, before we start, let's go over the 5 steps of successful home learning. Number 1, find somewhere quiet to watch this video. Number 2, sit at a table or a desk. Number 3, turn off all distractions around you. Number 4, have a pen and either your history book or if you haven't got one yet, some lined paper to hand. And finally, number 5, remember you can always pause this video and repeat it whenever you need. So our first lesson today looks at this question: what was Celtic Britain like? I would like you just to pause the video now and write down the title and the date on either your lined paper or your exercise book. So when you have done this, I'm going to read through the background information. Until around 8,000 years ago, the country we now call Britain was not an island. Instead, it was a cold and inhospitable corner of the European landmass. Early humans could walk to Britain from Europe across a dry stretch of land, a land bridge known as Doggerland, until rising sea levels at the end of the last ice age submerged the land bridge and created the islands we live on today. These early humans were probably hunter-gatherers who wandered from place to survive. However, by around 3000 BC, they had discovered agriculture and began to grow their own food, showing that some settled permanently in these isles. So we've been introduced to some new words which I just wanted to highlight. Inhospitable, this word here means unfriendly. So it was a cold and unfriendly corner of the European landmass. Submerged means to go underwater. And agriculture means farming. So as you can see, 8,000 years ago, Britain is connected to France by this land bridge here called Doggerland. Around the year 500 BC, the Celts began to cross the sea to settle in the British Isles. Isles basically means islands. The Celts were a collection of warring tribes that lived in Central Europe. This time period up until the Roman invasion is often called the Iron Age. The name comes from the discovery of a new metal called iron that the Celts found and made into tools and weapons. The Iron Age ended in AD 43, so 43 years after Jesus was born, when the Romans invaded Britain. Your first task today is in 10 words, try and explain what Doggerland was. Pause the video now and give yourself 60 seconds to do this. So my attempt is: Doggerland was a land bridge that connected Britain to France. It's 10 words. Once you have done this, give yourself another 90 seconds to explain why it is called the Iron Age in 15 words. Remember, you can pause the video and reread this paragraph here. So give yourself 90 seconds to do activity 2. Pause the video now. When studying history, we are introduced to key historical skills such as chronology. What I would like you to do is to open your knowledge organizer and find the word chronology in the history section and write down the definition in your exercise book or online paper. Chronologies are often shown on timelines like this one. What I would like you to do is to find the event from this information and write it on the timeline. For example, 3000 BC, if I go up here and reread it, it says around 3000 BC they discovered agriculture. Can you remember what this word means? Farming. So I would put down here 3000 BC, people discovered farming. What I would like you to do is to pause the video, draw this timeline in your exercise book with these events. Don't worry about 0, Jesus is born, it was just a pointer. And to then go up to this passage and fill in your timeline. So give yourself 2 minutes, pause the video now, and find the events for your timeline to fill in. So today we are looking at the Celts, the collection of warring tribes who came to Britain. One way of finding out how they lived and what they were like is through historical artifacts. So artifacts basically means objects. Like this amazing shield. This was pulled from the River Thames near Battersea, so in South London. In South London, this was just sitting at the bottom of the river, and it was made by the Celts over 1,000 years ago. Over 2,000 years ago. By looking at this shield, what do you think the Celts were like? Pause the video now and have a close look at the shield and jot down a couple of ideas. For example, one word that came to my mind is ferocious, as the shield clearly shows that they fight in battles. So pause the video now and write down a couple ideas. Once you have done this, I would like you to pause the video and study these 5 images. These pictures give us a glimpse of what life was like in Celtic Britain. Pause the video and have a think as to how they are different from life today. One idea I have is that my house has bricks. I don't live in a house with wooden sides or wooden roof. Try and write down at least 3 other things that are different. Pause the video now. Next, we are going to read this passage, Life During the Iron Age. The Iron Age Celts of Europe and Britain were very superstitious people. Okay, it means they believed in magic. Celtic priests called Druids were the link between the supernatural world and the ordinary human one. They were able to predict what would happen in the future by interpreting nature. The Celts believed in many gods and goddesses, over 400 in total. The Celts of Britain benefited through trade. Celtic rulers would trade gold, silver, iron, grain, wool, hides. Hides are basically animal skins, cattle, hunting dogs, and slaves. In return, Rome would trade glass, jewelry, and other luxuries. The rulers of the Celtic tribes of Britain became more powerful, but in most cases no more friendly to Rome. This made the Celtic rulers the most powerful people on the land. Most of the Celts who lived in Britain from 650 BC onwards were farmers, although were also many skilled craftsmen. Okay, craftsmen mean they had special skills. Some Celts were blacksmiths working with the iron, bronzesmiths, carpenters who work with wood, leather workers and potters. Celtic craftsmen also made elaborate jewellery of gold and precious stones. Elaborate jewellery means basically it's beautifully made pieces of jewellery. Celtic tribes lived in scattered villages, often in round houses with thatched roofs of straw. Thatch basically means it's interlinked together to make a roof. The walls of their house were made from local material. Houses in the south tended to be made from wattle, woven wood, and doob, straw and mud, as there was an ample supply of wood from the forest. Animals were often kept inside the house at night. As well as small communities, there were also larger settlements and heavily defended forts. So again, this passage highlights how Celtic Britain is different from Britain as we know today. Your final task is to explain this 3 times by using the sentence structure here. For example, I might put, in Celtic Britain, they lived in thatched huts. This is different from today because we live in houses made of bricks. So pause the video now and find 3 other ways that Celtic Britain is different from life today. As a challenge, can you think of any 2 similarities? What is similar between today and Celtic Britain? Pause the video now. Finally, have a think as to why someone would want to invade the Celtic lands. Why do you think someone would want to come to Celtic Britain and try and take it over? Maybe have a look at these images. What can you see that is precious? So again, pause the video and jot down a couple ideas. That finishes our first history lesson today. But before we go, just have a think as to how you found this online learning. Did you pause the video when told? Did you remember to rewind? These will help you get the most of your online learning when moving forward. Stay safe, well done, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.